Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video on the Gooners and Gloves Podcast channel. In today's video, it's going to be the 108th Gooners and Gloves Podcast, and I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and reactions to Arsenal's game versus Liverpool at Anfield. Just got finished watching it, so as always, I'm just going to give you guys my thoughts and reactions to the game. So pretty much, let's just go on and get straight into it. Unfortunately, a disappointing day for Arsenal as we did lose 1-0 to Liverpool. A fantastic free kick from Dominic Szoboszlai gave Liverpool the win in what was otherwise a very cagey and very close affair at Anfield, but unfortunately Liverpool do walk away with the 3 points. It was a moment of magic from Dominic Szoboszlai, but a goal nonetheless, and therefore a loss nonetheless. We have to accept it. Liverpool got the victory today. I thought that we did really well in terms of nullifying Liverpool's attacks, and I think from open play we defended really well and we were able to stop Liverpool's attacks, but ultimately it was just an excellent free kick from Dominic Szoboszlai, and unfortunately that is all it took, and we did lose the game. So obviously not an ideal result at all. Definitely a tough place to go, and you know, we definitely headed there with some hope, and I was really hoping that we could maybe pull out a victory today, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. As I said, it's a moment of magic. It is what it is. This is football. End of the day, we can't complain about it. This is just what happens. Sometimes teams have moments of magic, and unfortunately today that moment happened for Liverpool, but I've got to give Szoboszlai serious credit. He absolutely rifled that free kick in from so far out, so I've got to give him credit. It was a fantastic strike. But yeah, pretty much let's just go on and get straight into it. So obviously the game started off terribly for Arsenal, literally the worst possible way, because in just 5 minutes William Saliba had to come off, and of course we don't know currently what the extent of the injury is, but I'm really hoping it's not a serious injury. That's not what we needed. To be fair though, Mosquera did come on, and I think he actually did well. I think Christian Mosquera had a good game today. I think he defended well, but still it was just such an unfortunate way for the game to start. William Saliba coming off injured only 5 minutes in. It's just such an unlucky thing to happen. Literally not even 5 minutes in and William Saliba had to come off, and based on the fact that he came off at 5 minutes, we have to assume it's a serious injury. So I'm really hoping for the best, and I really don't want us to lose William Saliba, but at the very least Christian Mosquera demonstrated that he's more than capable as a backup. I think he looked really good today. I think he did really well to step up in Saliba's absence, but we're really hoping that Saliba's injury isn't too severe, but definitely really unfortunate way to start the game. And outside of that, I think the first half was really cagey. Not really much happened. It was a very boring first half. Truth be told, this game as a whole was pretty boring in general. Like, I've got to be honest, this was, you know, considering this is the, you know, the two best teams in the league fighting it out at Anfield, I think it was a very boring game. It was not an enjoyable game at all. It was boring. It was not a very entertaining game, to be honest. I'm not only saying that because we lost. I'd be saying that regardless. It just wasn't a very exciting game, and the first half especially was really boring and not very enjoyable to watch. But yeah, not really much happened in the first half. Not much to talk about. The only shot on target in the whole half, I think, was Noni Madueke when he took a pretty good shot, which Alisson was able to save. But yeah, just not a very exciting first half. Not really too much happened. Very cagey. Both teams kind of just going back and forth, probing, but just not really getting many chances. So I'm not going to spend too long talking about the first half. The only real moment that happened was obviously Noni Madueke's shot on target, which was saved really well by Alisson. But really outside of that, not much else happened. So jumping into the second half, and truth be told, the second half wasn't much better, although I will say that sort of that Liverpool kind of generally were creating more chances, more opportunities. I still think we did really well to nullify them from open play. Like, end of the day, they did still only get, I think, 3 shots on target overall in the game, and obviously I know that we only got 1 ourselves, but my point is, this was very much a game that was just decided off a very good free kick from Szoboszlai. It's just, of course it's frustrating. Like, it's a very frustrating way to lose a game, to know where, you know, you were able to nullify your opponent from open play, you were able to do all of that, but again, this is football. A lapse in concentration, 1 single split second is all it takes, and Dominic Szoboszlai proved that. But not really much else happened, to be honest. The thing is, this is just a really hard game to analyze because just not much happened, to be honest. Obviously, just, yeah, it just wasn't a lot. I mean, there were a total of 4 shots on target across both teams, but I will say in the second half, Liverpool were creating more opportunities, although only just, because again, neither team was creating very much, but definitely they were creating more chances. Liverpool did dominate possession in the second half. In the first half, possession was pretty even, but then in the second half, Liverpool had far more of the ball. Like, at one point they showed a graphic where Liverpool had like 71% possession and Arsenal only 29, so they were definitely doing well on the ball as well. But ultimately it was just one of those games. I really don't think either team played particularly well. I think Arsenal, you know, they looked a bit off it today, a bit sluggish. Defensively really good, as I said, and but to be fair, if I'm going to say Arsenal were good defensively, I have to give Liverpool their defensive credit as well. I've got to give it to them. They were very good defensively today as well. Obviously, the first 2 games, you know, against Newcastle and against Bournemouth, they looked really suspect defensively. They were letting in easy chances. But to be fair to them, they stepped up today. I've got to give them their credit. They defended really well today. So this was a game where ultimately I think both defenses were quite good, and it was quite a tight, cagey game. Ultimately, Liverpool had that moment of magic, which they were able to take from Szoboszlai, and therefore they won the game. So it's just a really hard game to analyse because not really much happened. Something positive positive, of course, is that we did see Eberechi Eze's debut. Obviously, he didn't get very long. He only got about sort of 15-20 minutes, so we can't really make too many judgments on how he played. But it was just really cool to see Eberechi Eze make his debut. And of course, we'll now be looking forward to his, hopefully his debut at the Emirates Stadium against Nottingham Forest, his home debut. So we are, of course, looking forward to that. But obviously, it was a really cool moment to see Eberechi Eze come on. And, naturally, he didn't really get very long. He only got about 15-20 minutes in what was already a very tight, cagey game. So naturally, he didn't really do much. But it was cool to see him come on. And actually, he came on at left wing. So it was Martinelli that came off and it was Eze that came on. So does this imply that maybe Arteta does see Eberechi Eze as a left winger after all? Because mind you, Mikel Merino is the one who actually started this game. Martin Odegaard made the bench, and when Merino came off, it was Martin Odegaard that got put on in his place. So this implies that maybe Mikel Merino is the number 8 backup, and maybe Eze is the left winger. So that's certainly an interesting dynamic, just something worth commenting on. It's very interesting. I'm not really sure what this means, but based on the fact that it wasn't Eze that started in Merino's position, and instead it was Merino ahead of Odegaard, that implies to me that maybe Arteta still views Mikel Merino as an attacking 8 behind Odegaard, and then Eberechi Eze as a left winger. So that was certainly something to comment on. We also saw Dalman come on for the final few minutes, but obviously by that point the game was, there wasn't really much more we could do, so Dalman didn't really get to do a whole lot either. Obviously you had the likes of Calafiori and Timber. I thought they were good. Basically defensively, I still think we were very good. Like a free kick from like 30 yards out isn't going to change my mind on the fact that I think defensively we were really good. I think we nullified Liverpool. I think we stopped them creating chances from open play. I think the likes of Declan Rice, Calafiori, Timber, Gabriel, I think Mosquera, like they all looked really good defensively. So really defensively, I was happy with how he played. I think attacking wise, we could have been better, no doubt. Obviously, Victor Gyökeres unfortunately didn't have a good game today. As I said, it's kind of part and part. Like he did have a couple of opportunities which he kind of scuffed, but for the most part, again, just not much creativity, not much being fed to him. Obviously, Madueke wasn't really getting a lot of balls to him. Neither was Martinelli. End of the day, they just weren't really getting much over to him. So he did have a couple of opportunities where he could have done better, but for the most part, he just wasn't being fed the service. He wasn't being given the balls or the service to obviously be able to deliver. So certainly unfortunate on that front. But again, good to see Gyökeres play another 90 minutes. It's good to see that he is at least up to full fitness now, playing 90 minutes, which is good to see. And yeah, pretty much that's all I've really got to say. It was a game which was very tight, very cagey, and ultimately was decided off one free kick. In terms of the free kick, I do have to say David Raya probably could have done a little bit better. Like obviously I don't want to be too harsh on Raya because it was an insane free kick. It was an absolutely world-class free kick from Szoboszlai. He hit it really high up into the corner. It hit the post. It went in. So I don't want to be too overly harsh on Raya, but I would argue that maybe he could have done slightly better. He could have obviously timed it a bit sooner. Obviously I'm just saying this as someone who isn't a goalkeeper. I don't know what it looked like from his perspective, but I just do think that maybe he could have done a little bit better for it. But the past is the past now. It's over. We're now going to head into the international break. So, it's not the end of the world. End of the day, it's only game week 3. We can't really, react too negatively on this. Of course, would it have been amazing to win? Yes, absolutely. But we've got to just bounce back now. The good thing is we've gotten Anfield out the way. We know now that we will not have to go back to Anfield again this season, which of course is just a good thing. So that's something that's good. We know that we will not have to return to Anfield in the Premier League this season. So we know that fixture is now out of the way. And so is Manchester United. So it's good that we've gotten both Old Trafford and Anfield out of the way in the first 3. We obviously have some other tough games coming up. We've got City at home, who in fairness are looking a bit vulnerable with their 2 losses. Obviously we've got Newcastle away, which will be tough. We've got Nottingham Forest at home in the first week, which should hopefully be a good game. So yeah, and I'm really happy that we're at home against Forest after the international break, because as you guys may know, there is a bit of an international break curse where for some reason teams that are away after the international break tend to do badly. So I'm glad they're at home to Nottingham Forest on the first game back. So essentially we've got to just rest, recoup, just kind of forget about this game and now move on to the next one. We've got Nottingham Forest at home. We'll also have our Carabao Cup game against Port Vale quite soon, the Champions League starting back up. So plenty to be excited about. End of the day, it was a really good defensive performance that ultimately was only ruined by one single small lapse in concentration from a free kick. But defensively, I think we looked really good. We had a couple of opportunities. It is what it is. It's one of those games. But anyway, that's going to go on and do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for listening. Sorry that I couldn't give more actual analysis, but this is just one of those games. Few chances on both ends. Just not really a very exciting, not very good game that ultimately was decided off a set piece. So obviously there's not much analysis I can do, but we move. It is what it is. Something I forgot to talk about is also Piero Hincapié. I don't know if that's how you say his name. I think Piero Hincapié, however you say his name, he actually got a here we go as well. So I will be making a video about him when he's announced. We're obviously just waiting for the move to be finalized and stuff, but I will be making a video about Piero Hincapié when he is announced. And of course, let's see, tomorrow of course is deadline day. Tomorrow is the final day of the window, so let's see if Arsenal do anything else in the window. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Have a great day, and I'll catch you guys with another podcast soon. Bye bye.